Microsoft just shipped its very first real reasoning AI. And buried deep inside what looks like a totally standard press release, there is actually a massive corporate power shift happening. I am absolutely fascinated by what this means for the tech world right now. Today, we're unpacking MAI-Thinking-1. This isn't just some technical achievement. A lot of people are actually reading this as a full-blown declaration of independence. So if you use Copilot, Windows, or really any AI tool for work, this explainer is going to show you exactly how the foundation beneath your daily software is shifting. All right, let's just dive right into it. To really wrap our heads around the stakes of this story, we've got to start with this massive number. Microsoft has invested a staggering $13 billion into OpenAI over the past few years. $13 billion. For a long time, that basically meant every major AI feature inside Microsoft's ecosystem was just quietly powered by OpenAI models running on Microsoft's cloud. I mean, it was easily the most important relationship in tech. But this raises the most pressing question of the entire launch, right? Why is Microsoft slowly walking away from its biggest AI investment? Seriously, why spend all the time and resources to build an entirely in-house model when you already have VIP access to the most famous AI models on the planet?
Well, to answer that, we're going to unpack both the elite technical specs and the juicy corporate drama. First, we'll look inside MAI-Thinking-1 itself. Then, we'll check out the hill climbing machine, dig into the OpenAI breakup, explore this idea of humanist superintelligence, and finally, look at the real kicker. Starting with part 1, inside MAI-Thinking-1, the surface level tech. So on June 2nd, 2026, at the Build conference, Microsoft officially unveiled a quote-unquote reasoning model. Notice the specific definition here. A reasoning model doesn't just guess the next word and spit out the first answer that pops into its head. It actually stops. It works through a problem step by step, checking its own logic before giving you an output. Up until June 2nd, Microsoft actually had to hand off all of these complex reasoning tasks to other companies. But that gap has officially closed. Under the hood, MAI-Thinking-1 uses what's called a mixture of experts architecture. Think of it kind of like a giant team of specialists. While the model has roughly 1 trillion total parameters, only about 35 billion are active at any given time for a specific prompt. It literally only tags in the experts it actually needs for that specific job. On top of that, it boasts a massive 256,000 token context window. In plain English, you could feed this model a 600-page document in one sitting, and it can reason across the entire text efficiently. That is a game changer.
And the benchmark results, they really speak for themselves. Microsoft isn't just playing catch-up here, they are hitting frontier-level scores. On the incredibly difficult AIME math benchmarks, it scores 97% for the 2025 set and 94.5% for 2026. But look at that bottom row. On SWE-Bench Pro, which tests real-world software engineering and bug fixing, this mid-weight model goes absolutely toe-to-toe with Claude Opus 4.6, which is a heavyweight, highly expensive model. They are basically claiming heavyweight coding performance at a mid-weight cost. But hey, we all know benchmarks only tell half the story. Microsoft partnered with an independent company called Surge to run blind human side-by-side evaluations. And get this, across more than 1,000 real-world tasks, human raters actually preferred MAI-Thinking-1 over Claude Sonnet 4. The raters pointed out that it genuinely understands instructions without being brittle or, overly verbose. It just gets in there and does the work.
Moving on to part 2, the hill climbing machine, Microsoft's methodology.
Honestly, how Microsoft built this model is arguably more important than the benchmark scores themselves. To grasp why, we really need to talk about an industry open secret called distillation. Distillation is basically a shortcut. It's where a company trains a smaller AI simply by having it copy the homework of a much larger, smarter model from another lab. It's fast and it's cheap, but it means the new model inherits all the blind spots, all the biases, and all the weird design choices of its teacher. It fundamentally can't escape the ceiling of the model it's imitated.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is this. Microsoft proudly states they did not use distillation. They call their methodology the hill climbing machine. They literally forced their model to learn capabilities from scratch. They trained it entirely on clean, traceable, enterprise-grade data and built it with total self-sufficiency across their entire hardware and software stack. And look, this isn't just a flex for them, it's practically a legal requirement. If you're selling AI to Fortune 500 clients, you have to be able to look them in the eye and tell them exactly where the intelligence came from and what data shaped it.
Okay, on to part 3, the OpenAI breakup, the deep story.
So why did Microsoft wait all the way until mid-2026 to release this model if they had all this internal capability cooking? The timeline actually tells a fascinating story of this slow-motion corporate cooling. Back in 2019, that massive $13 billion investment in OpenAI began, tightly tying the two companies together. But by late 2025, the runaway success of ChatGPT meant Microsoft realized it was fundamentally funding its own biggest competitor. Crazy, right? So the partnership was renegotiated, and crucially, Microsoft's exclusivity ended. Fast forward to June 2026, and Microsoft drops their own completely independent frontier reasoning model.
A lot of industry watchers are actually calling this in-house model Satya Nadella's prenup. Microsoft's CEO has been crystal clear that he refuses to let his company become the next IBM, a legacy tech giant that gets pushed aside because it relied way too heavily on someone else's tech. MAI-Thinking-1 is essentially Microsoft's insurance policy. And this is especially vital right now. As tools like GitHub Copilot shift to really expensive usage-based billing, Microsoft desperately needed a smart mid-weight model that they owned completely, just to keep their own running costs down.
Next up, Part 4, Humanist Superintelligence, the nuance of safety. Now, this is a truly fascinating safety philosophy that almost all the mainstream coverage completely missed. Microsoft is framing this whole launch around the concept of humanist superintelligence. Their stated mission is that AI has to remain a subordinate tool under human control. It should be designed to uphold human autonomy and actually be helpful, rather than, stepping in to replace human judgment entirely.
Notice how they approach safety here, because it's pretty brilliant. If you have ever been frustrated by an AI refusing to answer a totally normal question just because it tripped some oversensitive safety filter, you are gonna love this. Microsoft treats being unsafely helpful, like giving instructions for something genuinely dangerous, and being uselessly cautious, refusing a perfectly legitimate request, as the exact same category of bug. They're saying a model that refuses to help you under the false guise of safety is failing at its job just as much as a model that acts dangerously. To fix this issue, Microsoft trains safety and capability in the exact same hill-climbing reinforcement loop. Safety isn't just some filter bolted onto the end of a finished model. It's baked right into the fundamental learning process. They claim this creates an AI that holds the line on genuinely sensitive topics while still remaining highly compliant for our everyday tasks. Now, as a responsible explainer, I should definitely note, these are Microsoft's internal numbers. Third-party labs haven't independently verified these safety claims just yet, so we're really going to have to see how it performs in the wild.
Finally, Part 5, the real kicker, what this means for you.
Let's connect all this corporate strategy and technical architecture directly back to your daily life. Where can you actually get your hands on this thing? Well, right now, MAI-Thinking-1 is in private preview on Microsoft Foundry, which is their enterprise AI platform. But it's coming very soon to public preview on the MAI Playground. And brilliantly, for the developers out there, it is fully compatible with the standard chat completions API format. It's designed to be a completely frictionless drop-in replacement for existing enterprise workflows.
But here is the most important takeaway for the average user. Even if you never log into an API or an enterprise dashboard, the AI running underneath your daily tools could soon be quietly swapped out. If you use Microsoft 365, Windows, or GitHub Copilot, Microsoft now has a frontier-level, cost-effective brain they fully own to power those features behind the scenes.
The reality is, Microsoft's goal isn't just to win some benchmark against Claude or OpenAI. Their ultimate goal is to ensure that no matter who builds the best AI model, Microsoft owns the platform that everyone else builds on. So I'll leave you with this to chew on. Who will truly control the future of enterprise AI? The labs making the models, or the platform owners controlling the pipes? It is a fascinating shift, and we are definitely going to be watching it closely.